Hello, let's look at Britannia today. Please note this is for educational purposes only. This is not investment advice. Please read the disclaimer in the description box. Look at Britannia. It's quite a runner. I mean, it's seen stellar returns, almost 10 times the amount invested if you invested back in just a decade ago, less than a decade ago, as a matter of fact. So, impressive stock there, of course. And the majority of the move happened for 2018, but the stock still got steam in it. It's doing a lot of new things right now that we can look at. If you look at the weekly charts, this is where the stock is. I've drawn out some support levels, some interesting patterns that we've seen in the past. For example, here, and I've drawn out a few support and resistances for us currently that are in play. And you can see that how Britannia had indicated a top in July 23, around this couple of weeks here. And then as soon as it indicated a top, the good thing about this stock is it follows up on its indications very, very clearly. So clearly the stock has momentum, it has interest, it holds the market pretty strongly, and the averages also pretty strongly. It is not a stock that dilly dallies around any of these support or resistance levels. Very clear, it gets there, it makes a base, it moves on very, very quickly. So here as well, it indicates a top, quickly makes a correction over the next 4 months, forms a base, and then goes up. And then again starts indicating some kind of a correction, goes down, makes a base, goes up again. Now this top indication was actually cancelled here all the way in April. So it took a whole 8 9 months for it to cancel out that indication and signal a final bull run again, a resumption of the bull run. Right? So you might say you get out at the end of this candle at 4903, re-enter Britannia at a close of 5066. So you lose about 100 points there with all the delay there, and you focus that money somewhere else for the 9 months, and then you come back to it, come back to this brilliant run that is happening here. Let's look at it in a little more detail on the daily chart. So specifically, if you look at this area here, right, I've drawn this out specifically because this is where the top indication happened at that candle, and at the bottom of that, at the breach of this, is where it told us very clearly to move out. Britannia has very clear signals. That's an excellent thing, and you can see what it does here as well. After this long move at around 4885, so if you've entered anywhere in 2022, or if you're a long-term or a very long-term investor at around 2010 or 2012, you ended up making a lot of money there, right? And then it signals an exit at 4885, almost 10 times returns. If in 2022 you've doubled your money at least, and then you get out. Now this signal here, this signals an immediate bottom formation. It was a zone. This zone ranged from 4426 to 4391. Now that zone slid down slightly, and then it bounced right off it. So 4 months into it, so July to October, a very clean base formation, and then Britannia decides to move up. But it doesn't end there, right? I mean, this is a good indication. At the top of it, there is actually a base that I'll show you how you can actually look at where to enter. But if you look at what it did, it traced up, tested similar levels, and then came back down. What it's doing here is testing the bottoms and the tops, right? So it tested the top, it looked strong, it tested the bottom, it looked stronger, and then the breakout happens. This is the breakout signal. If you look at some of the base formation indications, right? This is one of very interesting one. So this is around 4630. So if you look at this, how it does that, right? This is exactly what the market wanted to do. It came down, it said, nope, we're holding this properly. It went to its long time supports and said, nope, I don't want to breach that. That is a very good indication of a bullish stock. It breaches this top, goes up, forms a little bit of an indication at the top saying, I really want to test this out again. Comes down, forms a proper signal here, tests out the last top here, last bottom, sorry, here, and then breaks the signal. The signal to break is actually this little bar here, that is at 4999 5000. So at 5000 it decides to break it to the large candle and then move on. That is a really good indication of a steady performing, clear directional stock that makes clear corrections at important levels and then decides to move on. It follows a pattern that is similar to the wider market at stages, but it diverges as well. And that's a good pattern for any stock, because that means that it has its own method and methodology, but then it also uh, tends to move with the rest of the market. So if you look at this level here that we've drawn out, it's in 5630. This is also previously touched upon here too. So that was the outlook overall. But if you also look at the latest supports and resistances that you need to look at, right? So in the medium term, the supports to look out for and the resistances that you're seeing, 5455, the one here is going to be super important. There are other levels moving up, but this one's going to be critical. 5759 is another critical one that needs to hold. You'll see some support and resistance forming around that. It's not critical if it gets reached, but yeah, it does still need to hold over the medium term. These are medium term supports. The resistance that Britannia is seeing right now is at 5946. This is something that you should look for, because this is essentially what needs to break out for it to have future new highs forming. So that is Britannia. I hope you like that. Please hit a like and subscribe.